Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about alienation. It's something, if you're autistic, I can't imagine being autistic and not having experienced a lot of alienation throughout your life. I think it's fundamental to the experience of living on the spectrum, and it's one of the reasons why I call my channel Alien Perspective. So let's define alienation, which is feeling withdrawn or separated from others or society as a whole. I want to talk about alienation because there's this pattern in my life where I have a close friend or a close group of friends, and every couple or few years, that all dissolves, and I'm left with nobody in hangoutable range, so I'm back at square one in the friend dimension. Frankly, alienation's been on my mind recently, because my closest friend recently told me that she intends to move away, so I'm afraid the sad end of that cycle that I just mentioned is in my near future. Later, I want to talk about solutions. What can we do to have more positive relationships, more positive connections? But first, I want to talk about alienation and autism more broadly, because there's just no universe that I could imagine an autistic person who never felt alienated. And I think that the way that we feel alienated is different from the way a normie brain person feels alienated. One of the defining aspects of my existence on this planet with this species is that it feels like everyone else knows I'm weird, but they're not accepting of it. It feels so unfair that people see my weirdness and they don't think it's cool, they don't think it's interesting. They just have this gut level negative reaction towards me. And it's for reasons beyond my control. God, that happens so much. Because on one level, I get if I earn the dislike by being obnoxious or preachy or, oh my god, Keegan, please stop talking about politics. I get it, I'm not for everyone. That's fine. But there's some people where as soon as I walk into their field of vision, I have no chance. They subconsciously recognize that I don't conform, and there's nothing I can do to not be disliked. It's alienating to not feel welcome immediately upon arrival. It's that I don't want you around side-eye. It's other people's body language blocking us out. It's us being skipped over when we want to talk. It's us being ignored until we just go away. It's not being invited to join as others are right in front of you. It's asking for help and not getting it because, I don't know, we're just being too much. And I know I'm not alone on this. Maybe you've had the thought, why do I even try? There's a stereotype with autistic people that we're oblivious to the vibe around us. Not true, at least with me, not true at all. If someone else is projecting a bad vibe, I'm feeling it. Maybe even more intensely than a normie brain person. Granted, I probably don't know why the vibe is bad, at least not in the moment. Typically, I figure it out after I go home and overanalyze the fuck out of every social interaction that I've had. You ever do that? Humans are the most social species on the planet. Every human needs positive social connections. So to be so frequently reminded that we're different, that we're not welcome, to be rejected, to be otherized, to be alienated, I'm sure it's a source of trauma that many autistic people carry. How many of us are avoidant socially because this is our experience? How many of us have had the social butterfly beaten out of us? Even when I form close relationships, coming back to that from the beginning, I think about a best friendship that I had for like 10 years. I think about the first relationship where I was really head over heels in love. And those both ended the same way. Where after years of supporting them, of being there when they needed me, of putting in a lot of effort into those relationships, when I needed them, when I finally needed to lean on them, they abandoned me. When they couldn't use my strength for their benefit, they just threw me away. And I know deep down that part of the reason was because they had joined a new friend group of normie brain people who did not all like me, because I'm very, very different. It's really hard not to lose hope sometimes. Sometimes I'm absorbed by this fear that being alone is inevitable, and when it gets really bad, when I'm really deep in the spiral, I fear that I'm going to die alone. You know, what's the point when even the people that say that they love me leave me? Man, this has been a real downer of a video thus far. I'm sorry, I'd love to, on this channel, always talk about the positives, the quirkiness, and celebrate that kind of stuff, but if I'm trying to represent autism accurately, sometimes it's really hard. It is not easy to be on the spectrum. But I notice whenever I get down like this, there's always a point where I'm able to turn myself around emotionally. And the reason is because I'm not powerless. We are not powerless. It's really hard to be on the spectrum, but it's not hopeless. I think hopelessness is a logical mistake because none of us know the future. Thank you, J.R.R. Tolkien. All right, so let's turn it around. What can we do? We are in the driver's seat of our own lives. Let's be an active force within our own existence. There are a lot of people, particularly men, particularly young men, that have a similar set of experiences, and they wind up alienated, deeply unhappy, and very lonely, which makes them hate the world and then themselves, and then they turn right-wing, and that's just not a good thing. So why hasn't that happened to me? I think the main reason is that I like that I'm different. We should not be insecure about being the weirdo. It's not easy, but I wouldn't trade it. It's part of my identity. It's part of who I am. It's part of why I stick out from the crowd. And I like that. And they aren't going to beat that out of me. And in a way, I'm free. Because I'm not going to let their judgment change me from being my genuine self. Masking? Screw that. I see other autistic people talking about masking, talking about how tiring it is, talking about how difficult it is, talking about how much it sucks. I wouldn't know. Maybe I'm like too autistic to actually mask, but I don't do it. By the way, a little tip that'll help you throughout life. Owning it gets you bullied less. Predators pick on your insecurities. People, particularly insecure people, pick on the weirdo to make themselves feel better, to feel more cohesion with the rest of the group by isolating the other. Being genuine will also help you find your people. If you mask, you make a friend, you take off the mask, and then the friend stops liking you, that rejection hurts a lot more than if it had happened at the beginning before the friendship even started. By being fake, you're setting yourself up for future disappointment and rejection. Whereas, if you're your genuine you from the start, the people who you will best connect with will gravitate towards you from the start. There'll be people who like you for you instead of your mask. And that's what makes a lasting connection. Part of why the alienation hasn't gotten me down more is because I've always had that part of me that understands that while I'm not for everyone, I am awesome for some people. And in the end, that's all you really need is some people. So how do you put yourself in a position to meet other people that you'll connect with? The solution I've been using all year is to try to find people with a common interest. And I'm not just focusing on one. I do not want all of my social eggs in one basket. It took very little time searching online to find a board game group to join. I joined a vintage baseball league. And doing political activism has always helped me find fellow progressive and leftist people, while also helping make the world a slightly better place to live. Which reminds me, make friends outside of conservative circles. Conservatives are less empathetic and less understanding towards people who have a different life experience than they do. And I'm sure how you can see how that applies to us. And trust me, I'm the political psychology guy. I know what I'm talking about. Make progressive friends because it's far less likely that you'll feel any pressure to mask. In fact, progressive circles are the most likely to be aware of your different needs and to accommodate you. Another tip, make friends of all genders. I've always gotten on better in mixed gender groups. Even if everyone else is a woman and I'm the only one making it a mixed gender group, I always feel more accepted. Because if I'm the only man, it's expected that I'm going to stand out. So it's more okay for me to be weird. In my experience when it's only men, man, the conformity and the group thing just gets dialed up. I'm just never going to fit into that. Plus, in this society at this time, men are trained socially to be less accommodating and less emotionally supportive, particularly in all-male company. But yeah, make friends outside of your gender, especially if you're a guy. So yeah, this has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster of a video, but I hope that as it comes to a close, that you feel a dose of, hope. Socializing is tough for us. We're going to feel alone. We're going to feel alienated. There are always people who are going to dislike us simply for being different. But we aren't powerless. If there is anything I could stress to you in this video, it is that we are not powerless. If you connected with this video, please comment. I love reading your comments, and please subscribe. This is Alien Perspective. Thanks for watching.